What is going on, everyone? No basketball on tonight. We got to wait till tomorrow for the conference finals to start. But that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about right now. The conference finals and my predictions for these matchups. So, in the East, we have the Indiana Pacers taking on the Boston Celtics tomorrow. And then in the West, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Dallas Mavericks starting on Wednesday. So, yeah, let's get right into it. We'll start with the East. Um, yeah, I already said we got Indiana and Boston playing each other. I don't know why my screen. Oh, there we go. Now it's loading. Perfect. We got Indiana playing Boston, and pretty much what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna go through each of the rosters and talk about where each team has the advantage. So we'll start with the Indiana Pacers. I mean, you've got Tyrese Halliburton. This dude has been a stud. I mean, he was, I believe, a first-time All-Star this year. He's been in his bag. He's the leader in assists. Um, he's by far the best player on the Pacers. They wouldn't be where they are today without Tyrese Halliburton. I think if they didn't have Halliburton, they would still be stuck as like a 12 or 11 seed in the NBA. But Tyrese Halliburton's been the guy who's really put it all together for Indiana and like really made them a good team. They've got a bunch of just solid guys on their team. That's what, like, yeah, they just got solid role players like Andrew Nemhard. He's a solid 10 to 12 point per game scorer. I mean, he's averaging like 9.2, but I mean, like, pretty close to 10, 12 points a game. I mean, he's been in his bag this year. He had a big shot against New York, that step back three from that step back three from Gary, Indiana, man. That was insane. Like that was the craziest shot probably of the postseason. That was fucking insane. I mean, the dude's got guts. I mean, he can perform in the big moments. So don't sleep on Andrew Nemhard. We got Aaron Neesmith. He's one of the dogs on this team. Not the most consistent scorer. I mean, he's another 10 to 15 points per game guy. I mean, this could be a revenge series for Aaron Neesmith. He's going up against Boston. He had a sick poster against them in the in-season tournament as well. I mean, the dude's just a dog. That's what he does. He hustles. Pascal Siakam, he's definitely the second best player on this Indiana Pacers team. I mean, this dude's like a 15 he's averaging 21 points on the season. I mean, he's like a 15 to 25 points per game scorer. You're going to want to see more of that 20 to 25 range from Pascal Siakam if they're going to win this Boston series. And the big X factor for the series for Indy, Miles Turner, this dude can either be elite or he can be an elite role player or just terrible. It all depends on really like if he's hitting his threes and grabbing rebounds because Miles Turner is not the best rebounding center out there. But when he gives it his all, he can turn into a good rebounder. He's also a fantastic rim protector. But man, when he's hitting his threes, he's on a different level, man. That separates him from like just the average role player centers. It's his ability to hit the threes. Like, yeah, when he's hitting his threes, he's in his bag. Then the biggest dog on this Indiana team, my guy, Sixer legend, TJ McConnell. This guy, what do I have to say? This guy's just a dog. I mean, he makes the scrappy plays. I mean, he's your stereotypical white NBA player. He fits the description of the stereotypical cracker. I mean, energy guy, good locker room guy, the hustle guy, energy guy. He just makes the right plays, man. He's a good passer. I mean, he can hit those mid-range shots. No, not much of a three-point shooter. Good on the inbound steals. That's his best trait, is the ability to steal the ball inbounding when they inbound it. We saw that in game 7. He stole the ball from Brunson, and then it led to like a wide open dunk for Indy, which was a big crowd silencer and that loud MSG crowd. You've got Ben Shepherd here on the Pacers too. I mean, the dude's just kind of I think he's a rookie, but he's going to develop into like a 3-and-D type player, one of their best defenders on the team, and can hit a three, hit a wide open three, which is huge. If the Pacers want a shot against the Celtics in this series, they're going to need those threes to fall. Then you got guys like Obi Toppin. I mean, this dude's a good scorer as well. Yeah, he's averaging 10.3 points a game. Fantastic scorer, super athletic. I mean, the dude's a freak of nature. He'd throw down 360 windmill dunks like it's nothing. I mean, I think he's a solid defender. He's not the best defender on the team, but his athleticism gives him he can go up and get a block. I mean, the dude is freaking athletic as shit. And his game, it really just depends on if he can shoot the ball. Because we know he can drive, we know he can dunk. But if he can get the jump shots falling, he's a different beast, man. Like that elevates him from like 10 points to 20 points right there. You got Isaiah Jackson. I would say out of the main rotation guys for the Pacers, this guy gets the least amount of run, but like he good defender and good rebounder. Those are the two things he adds. And like a lot of the players on the Pacers, when he can consistently hit jump shots, he can become a difference maker on this team. But if they're gonna beat Boston, they need that. So yeah, that's enough about Indiana. Let's move on to the Boston Celtics. Jrue Holiday, we already know, like everyone on this Boston Celtics team is a superstar at their role. Jrue Holiday, point guard, fantastic facilitator, and best defender on the team. He's probably the best guard, one-on-one defender in the NBA. So that's gonna be some trouble for Tyrese Halliburton. It'll be interesting to see how Holiday does against Tyrese Halliburton and what they throw at him and how Halliburton can respond. Derek White, second best defender on the team. He was all defensive second team, I believe, last year as well. Fantastic defender. He's a difference maker all the time, but he really becomes a stud when he can hit his threes. He goes from like a 12-point per game score to like a 20-point per game score when he hits his threes. Like when we saw him hit his threes against Miami, the dude put up like 38. He can just be in his bag. JB and JT, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. I would say Tatum's the best player in this series, and then Brown's like the third best player in this series. Like Jaylen Brown, I mean, these guys just have to be consistent. They can't fade in they can't go missing in the big moments for the Celtics. I feel like if these guys perform in the big moments, the Celtics will be fine in this series. And then Kristaps Porzingis, he's gonna miss the first two games of the Eastern Conference Finals. But I mean, that Pacers Knicks series going to a game seven, it really helped him. It's probably going to help him so he can come back earlier than expected. But we'll see. We'll see if we see Kristaps Porzingis in the series. It'll be interesting to see what he can give you. If Kristaps Porzingis is giving you good performances, there's no way the Pacers can win this series, respectfully. Like, I mean, this dude is a 3-and-D monster. I mean, he's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. He's also very good from three. Yeah. Like this season, he's shooting like pretty much 40% consistently from three. 37.5% from three in 4 games in the postseason, shooting 40% from three. I mean, the dude's just been in his bag. I mean, Porzingis is a freaking stud for the Celtics. Then off the bench, you got Peyton Pritchard. I compare this guy a lot to Andrew Nembhard, just kind of an energy guy off the bench while Nembhard starts. Like Peyton Pritchard, when he hits his threes, he's damn good. But outside of that, I mean, he really doesn't I mean, he can pass a little bit, but like outside of that, I mean, he's an average defender, I would say, not really known for his defensive side, but when he can hit his threes, he's good. You have Sam Hauser, just another energy guy for the Celtics. I mean, let's see. Yeah, I mean, he can shoot the three, that's for sure. He's a good 3-point shooter. Better than I thought, actually. I thought he was more like a league average, but no, he's like 42%. So yeah, when Sam Hauser can hit the three, I mean, that makes him a difference maker. But I would say out of the guys listed here, as long as Porzingis is out, he will probably get the least run out of everyone. Then you have Al Horford. I mean, this dude's been a killer for Boston for so many years. I mean, he's still just doing his thing. I mean, averaging like 8 points a game. I mean, good, fantastic efficiency from three. We've seen that dip in the postseason. If the Pacers want any shot at this, Al Horford, they're going to have to guard Al Horford from three. You really see teams start to crucify. You really see the Celtics start to crucify teams when they leave Al Horford wide open from three. Like the Sixers leave him open all the time, and he just continues to crucify us over and over again. Another guy that might get some run in this series as long as Porzingis is out is Luke Kornet. Yeah, he's a backup center. Averages about a block per game, which is bad. I mean, the dude's fantastic third string backup center. Like he's one of the best third string backup centers. I don't think he really shoots the three he doesn't shoot the three that often. His main thing, his signature move is honestly when someone's wide open in the corner and he just jumps straight up from like 2 feet from the basket. That's the main thing I think of when I hear Luke Kornet. But I mean, he's a good third string center. Like, I mean, yeah, I would say with this series, I think Boston wins it, but like if this what the hell? Okay. Oh, there we go. If Indiana wants to keep it close in this series, they need to play their tempo. They can't let Boston control the tempo. Indy needs to come out flying high and just speeding up and down the court and pretty much just turn it into a track race. I think that's Indy's best shot at winning this series is turning it into a damn track meet. And I think if they can do that, then I think they're in good. I think they're in good. I think they're in good shape. I think, yeah, they can make it a closer series than people might think because everyone's like, oh, the Pacers had a fluke run to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're going to do better than people think. I think Boston's still going to win this series. I think everyone is picking Boston to win this series. I'm no different. I think Boston is going to win it in a close six. So like they'll win it, but game six will be a really close one. Indy has not lost at home. So, I mean, they could force a game seven just on that because they are such a good home team. They are probably the best home team in the NBA playoffs still because they're yet to lose a game at home, and that is big. But I still think Boston wins it in six or seven, but I'm leaning six. Let's move on to the Western Conference Finals. We'll start with the Minnesota Timberwolves. These guys had a dog fight with the Nuggets and beat them in seven in Denver. This was probably the best series of the postseason so far. Like, my God, it was awesome. Mike Conley, he's a vet, man. I mean, he the facilitator as long as he's not turning over the ball and he's efficient from three. Mike Conley will be fine in this series. He's just kind of Mike, like if he's Mike Conley. I mean, there's not like there's no like extreme highs or low lows for Mike Conley. I feel like he's just kind of Mike Conley. Like, what's he averaging? Like 9, 10 points a game, 11.4 points a game this year. Like, you want that from Mike Conley. Like, he's just got to be Mike Conley and just be efficient from three and not turn over the ball. Yeah, and then they'll be fine. Anthony Edwards, this guy, I think is the best player in this series. Sorry, Luka. If Ant is on, there is no shot in hell, in my opinion, that the Mavericks can win. Like if Ant goes out there and drops 44 or whatever, the Timberwolves are gonna win that game. I mean, when this guy is on, the Minnesota Timberwolves are different. But when he's off, it's a totally different story. I think at times when Ant is not playing his best, the Timberwolves offense could look really bad and unbearable. Like if there's one downfall for the Minnesota Timberwolves in this playoffs is that they lack shot creators. They kind of just watch Ant cook and then they'll pass it outside of maybe Cat. Cat can do a little bit of driving, but this offense goes through Ant. If Ant is not cooking, they do not stand a chance. We saw in that game seven, we saw Ant have like 2 or 4 points at half or whatever the fuck it was. And the Wolves were down 15. Then Ant starts to get not really in rhythm, but just starts to kind of be an impactful player on offense. And they come back and they win the game. This team does not stand a chance without Ant cooking or just in like contributing on offense. They're a good defensive team, but it doesn't matter if they can't get a bucket. Jaden McDaniels, this guy's got the toughest job of the whole series. He's got to guard Luka. And that is not an easy ask at all. If you look here, though, he's actually done a pretty good job guarding Luka in this playoff series, or just in the like in general. Like Luka's averaged 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 and 5 turnovers. That's a big number. That's a big number. I think that's more than anyone in the NBA, and 26% from the perimeter. 3 games he's squared off against McDaniels. He's scored under 20 points. So I mean, if the Timberwolves are going to win, you're going to want those kind of numbers from You're going to want those numbers from Luka, and you need Jaden McDaniels hounding the hell out of Luka. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of what they did with Jamal Murray, where they just like straight up him and like someone like Nickeil Alexander-Walker just start doubling him like the second he crosses half court, and there's nothing he can do because those dudes are dogs and they hound like crazy. Cat, he's got to be a difference maker in this series. He's got to hit his damn layups and he's got to hit threes. Like he's the best shooting big ever, and he's got to prove it in this series. When he's wide open, he's got to be chucking that shit up and it's got to be going in. Rudy Gobert, we saw this dude get cooked by the Mavericks the last time he played them in the playoffs. Pretty much they would spam the pick and roll because that's one of Rudy Gobert's weaknesses. The dude is not much of a defender outside of rim protecting. And if they will just spam the pick and roll and make this guy suck on defense because he can't guard the pick and roll all that well. So Gobert, he needs to kind of get hidden. Like they kind of can't get him trapped in pick and roll opportunities. But that's what they're going to look to do. That's what Dallas is going to look to do in this series. And they need to make sure that Gobert does not get trapped in those pick and roll opportunities. Make sure he can stay in the game. Then you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He just needs to hit his shots and play good defense. I mean, that's the main thing because he's usually coming in for a guy like Jaden McDaniels. Kyle Anderson, I don't know if we'll see him in this series. Or how much we'll see of him in this series. But when he's in, I mean, he's got to be efficient, got to contribute, got to hustle. He's slow-mo, but he's got to be quicker, man. And then you got Naz Reid. Of course, we'll see this guy in this series. He's got to bring that energy that he brought in the fourth quarter of Game 7. He's got to be aggressive on the boards, and he's got to hit threes. Those are the things that Naz Reid has to do. He's got to prove that he's sixth man of the year. But yeah, that's enough about the T-Wolves. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. We've talked about Luka Doncic already. The dude's a stud. This is gonna be his toughest task of the postseason, definitely, because he's gonna have Jaden McDaniels glued to him the entire time. Luka, he's got to be aggressive. I think Luka plays at his best when he's not complaining to the refs. So as long as Jaden McDaniels is not getting in his head and getting him angry at the refs, Luka Doncic will be fine. Then you have Kyrie Irving. And also Luka with the injury, he's got to heal up. He's got to rest up because Luka healthy is a different beast than Luka hurt. Because when Luka's hurting, Jaden McDaniels can have an easier time and clamp his ass up. Kyrie Irving has to be more consistent in this series than he was in the OKC series. There were times where he was just a guy out there, but when Kyrie can be a total difference maker for the Mavericks in this series. When he's drilling buckets, it is hard to beat Dallas. Because this dude is clutch. I mean, he is a fourth quarter king, and he's in his bag in the fourth. It's tough to beat Dallas. Anthony Edwards going to be guarding him. I think this will also be Anthony Edwards' toughest task. I know he was guarding Jamal Murray a lot, but Kyrie Irving's a different beast, man. They're both clutch, but Kyrie hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history against the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. There we go. I thought I was going to screw it up. Yeah. Derrick Jones Jr., you just got to be aggressive. This dude is a difference maker when he hits his shots. There were games in that Thunder series where he shot 1 for 7. But as long as the series went on, he hit more shots and he was in his bag. So yeah, Derrick Jones needs to be aggressive, use his athleticism to play hard defense and hit his damn threes. PJ Washington, he's got to find a way, man. He's got to be the biggest dog in this series. We got to see more of that playoff PJ. I know he was fantastic in this Thunder series, but he wasn't as great in Game 6 as he was Game 5 and Game 6 as he was in the other games, like games 2, 3, and 4. We need more of that PJ Washington than the opposite of him, 9 or 10 points a game. We need that 15 to 20 point, because that really makes Dallas a difference maker, in my opinion. As long as the other guys are hitting shots and PJ Washington delivers like that, the Mavericks will win if PJ Washington delivered. Daniel Gafford, it'll be interesting to see how much time this guy gets versus a guy like Dereck Lively. Because as you saw the series go on, you saw Dereck Lively be very good in this series. I think it'll just come down to who can perform better in the pick and roll and get Gobert off of the floor. That's what it comes down to. Both are capable defenders. I would say Gafford is a better defender, but Gobert is not much of an offensive threat, respectfully. Maybe we'll see what happens because you get Cat driving to the rim. It's just whatever one can protect the rim better and perform better in pick and roll situations. Tim Hardaway Jr., it'd be interesting to see how much run this guy gets in the series because he's pretty much a scorer and that's it. If he wants to play, he's got to be on. And then you got guys like Josh Green. Josh Green, his main thing is he's got to hit his corner threes. And if he can hit his corner threes, he can be good. But if not, you'll have to pull him. Dereck Lively, we talked about him and Daniel Gafford. The thing with Lively, I would say with both of these guys, they got to do a better job hitting their free throws. Lively, down the stretch, hit a lot of his free throws, but there were times where he would literally get hacked because he's a bad free throw shooter. Let's look at his stats. I mean, the dude was not a good free throw shooter this season. Let's see. Regular season, 50% from the free throw line. He's brought it up to 60%. So I mean that's better, but like we need more consistency from Derek Lively from the free throw line. So that could be a way you take Derek Lively out of this game, is if you hack him and he doesn't hit his free throws. Gafford's a little bit of a better free throw shooter, but not by much. So yeah, I would be surprised to see, especially a guy like Derek Lively get hacked. But at the same time, you could hack Rudy Gobert as well. It'll be interesting to happen. I think this series is gonna be much better than the Boston Indiana series. I think if I had to pick now, I would say the T Wolves win it in 7, just because their defensive pressure is gonna give Luka and Kyrie a hard time. Like they haven't seen a defense like this in the postseason. And I don't think Luka's seen a defense this intense ever. I know that Golden State defense was pretty damn intense, but like this defense is the best I've ever seen since I've started watching the NBA. But yeah, I'm excited for these matchups, man. Just get me to Tuesday, man, so I can start watching this NBA playoffs. And if you're still here, shout out to you. I mean, I don't know if anyone's still here, but if you are, big preach. Like, yeah, that's all I got. I'm just a yapper who don't know ball. Peace.